Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pageant project. My next guest is Elle Hinojosa, who's a proud Hispanic-American entrepreneur whose journey has been defined by resilience, creativity, and purpose. She is a founder of Mention Medical, a fashion-forward medical ID brand that transforms necessity into empowerment, inspired by her own health journey. Elle has also modeled since the age of 17, building confidence, discipline, and a deep appreciation for the power of self-expression. She combines her love for storytelling with her drive for innovation, proving that challenges can be turned into platforms for impact. Deeply rooted in her heritage, Elle holds family, community, and culture at the heart of everything she does. She credits her upbringing for instilling in her a spirit of connection, humor, and the ability to bring light into any room. Whether she's mentoring, creating, or serving her community, Elle believes in leading with kindness and authenticity, values that continue to shape both her professional and personal endeavors. In addition to her entrepreneurial work, Elle is a trained workshop facilitator with a One Love Foundation, where she educates young women on the signs of unhealthy relationships and inspires others to love better. Now, as Miss Utah, USA, Elle is excited to use her voice and her platform to empower others, represent her state with pride, and showcase her passion, purpose, and personality on the Miss USA stage, which, if I'm correct, Elle, is what, maybe 2 or 3 weeks away? So welcome to the show, first up. And secondly, feeling nervous yet?
Not yet. Feeling excited. I'm just getting more and more excited as the days go on. So I'm hoping we stick to that trend. The nerves haven't kicked in quite yet.
Oh, I mean, look, hopefully they don't. I much prefer you to be excited than nervous. But I mean, like, Miss USA is such a huge part of pageant culture worldwide and in the US. Obviously, there's been the change of leadership, there's been all that. Putting that to one side, I think everyone is excited. We've got a date, we've got a venue. I have to ask you, what does it feel like to be in a couple of weeks representing your state on one of, if not the biggest stage in pageants? It's got to be surreal.
That's the best way to describe it is surreal. I feel like since I won, it's just been hitting the ground running, getting ready for at the time it was an elusive date. We weren't sure what it would be. And so now that we have the actual date, it is really the best feeling to just get everything, all the boxes checked off and really feeling accomplished and just excited. I've been preparing for this moment for what feels like my whole life. So I'm really excited.
Was it difficult to sort of go from not knowing, not knowing, not knowing, and then, oh, this is actually happening? Like, were you a bit in limbo as to whether you need to prepare or not?
I always had my sights set on October 1st. I said I wanted to
Right.
be 95, maybe 99% ready on October 1st, and whatever date they give us is the date they give us.
Yeah. Can you give people an insight into what pageant prep for Miss USA looks like?
I feel like it looks different for everyone. I've been talking to some of the other girls and just kind of seeing what they're doing. And I think it involves a lot of introspection and maybe like how happy you were with your performance at your state pageant, any changes that you want to make. And then there's been some really, really fun things that I've gotten to check off my boxes and really check off my bucket list as well. One of my favorite, I'll say, like pieces of prep was walking in the Sherri Hill fashion show a few weeks ago. That was such a dream come true for me. And that was like the most exciting walking practice that I've ever gotten to have.
In terms of walking practice, that's not bad. Did you get to meet the woman herself?
I did. I met Sherri a time before that when she invited me to walk in her show, which was such an amazing and surreal moment. I feel like I've been like in a dream this whole time since like I got crowned. Everything that happens after, I'm like, is this real? And when she asked me to walk in her show was when we were in Atlanta at Market picking out gowns. So I had decided on my gown, and then she asked me to walk in her show, and so it was like really, really amazing moment finding my gown for Miss USA, and then that just made it even better.
Can you tell people like tell people what Sherry Hill is like as a person? Because I think for many people, she's just a name, just a name and a brand.
Yes.
They don't realize that's an actual living, breathing woman. what is she like in person? Because like if I was to meet her, it would be it'd be one of the few people who I might get a bit tongue tied because so many people. She's one of the biggest people in the industry, right? What was it like the first time you met her?
I could see how you could get a little tongue tied, just get a little
Yeah,
tense and nervous. I definitely was the same way with her because she's an icon, not even
yeah.
just in our industry. Anytime I got to tell anyone from my hometown or like growing up that I was going to walk in her show, they were like, I wore her prom dress.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
everyone said. They were like, oh my God, like I wore a Sherri Hill. I'm like, we all wore Sherri Hill, you guys. Like, this is a big moment. But she is the definition of poised. She's gorgeous if you've never seen her, but she's so well put together, so well spoken, and just genuinely a poised, well put together, well spoken woman.
An appropriate icon for our
And I,
industry. Did you happen to say, I might have misheard you, you got your Miss USA gown from Sherry?
yes. So I'm wearing
Oh,
Sherri at Miss USA, and I'm excited to show everyone what we came up with.
I just need to ask. I'm not going to get you to disclose because I know that's a taboo. But
Yes.
I do want to ask, what's the emotion like when you finally settle on the gown, right? The in capital THE. When you
The
find that moment and you got the gown that you're going to represent your state on the Miss USA stage, what's that feeling like? I've never had to pick a article of clothing for such an important moment. What is that sensation like?
I think the best way to describe it is another like surreal, but you just know. It's like you feel almost like grounded. You're like, you're excited, but you're like, this is it. Like you just know when it's you put it on. And I will give y'all a little bit of a little story. Sherri actually helped pick out my gown. And I thought we were just trying things on to see like some different elements. And when I put this specific one on, I was like, oh, think we might be onto something here. And the people that I was with a group of my sponsors, Muzzies from the gown store, and they were kind of had this similar look. What I did of like, is this like, could this be it?
So it sounds like it was a. I mean, how long did the process take? Are we talking 5 minutes in and out, or are we talking
Not
five
5.
hours, 5 weeks?
No, not 5 minutes, but I got crowned a little bit, towards the end of when you could, it was apparent that it was crunch time and it was time to make a decision on the gown
Yeah,
when I went to market. And I went in with like a really open mind. I wanted to try everything on, different styles, different colors. I love color, different cutouts, different necklines. I wanted to try everything.
yeah.
And it was probably, I'll say like an hour. Didn't take too long.
I think that's highly, highly impressive to pick out the dream gown within an hour. I was thinking it would be at least like a whole day kind of
It
situation.
wasn't me. It was Sherri.
She might have done this a few times before, you think,
Yes.
a slight bit of experience. Elle, let's get into the pageant side of things. Why don't we begin with your pageant story or your history? How did you get into pageantry to begin with?
I always knew I would. I was just so interested in them as a child. I would look forward to Miss USA and even Miss America every year, just seeing. I always say I was really drawn to, the beautiful women and they were so confident, wearing beautiful dresses, the musical acts. I was drawn to like the pomp and circumstance of it all when I was younger. But now as an adult, I do realize that I was really inspired by strong, confident women given a platform to tell their story and share who they are. And that's what kept me interested in it as an adult. So when I'd kind of thought about it, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. And then after, I had a really intense health scare at the end of last year where I almost lost my eye. There was potential for me to like really never live a normal life again. when the new year hit, I was like, I'm going for it. Like, let's just do it and see what happens.
Ask you to explain a little bit more about what happened, because that's not like I broke my foot or I had a cold. I mean, for anyone, that's going to be extremely traumatic in the sense of it'll make you reevaluate what's really important in life. But for a young woman, the thought of losing an eye is, I mean, for me, that would be terrifying. What happened?
So I was 23 at the time, and my symptoms started with blurry vision. I thought I needed glasses. And then before I knew it, I was having a sinus and like kind of right around my brain surgery. And I ended up having a couple of those. There were some complications. And now I'm missing 3 bones surrounding my brain. But that health scare is what sparked not only my pageant journey to start, but it also sparked my idea for Mention Medical, my fashionable ID, a medical ID brand. So I had to wear a medical ID, which if you've ever seen a traditional medical ID, they're not very cute. They're like bright orange. They look like the bracelets that you wear going to a music festival. Not cute, not something you want to wear. But this bracelet that has that little symbol on the outside is a medical ID. So when you flip it over, it has all of my information on it that an emergency medical technician would need if I was ever in a situation where I needed immediate medical attention. So I've been able to make these and make something really, really beautiful, not just for myself, but for my community out of a really scary situation.
You know how we tell everyone that they're unique? You literally are the embodiment of unique, because now you are missing 3 bones from around your brain. Can you tell, what was the journey like? Because I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I know it's important to your DNA. What was the process going from scared, getting the terrible news, and then making it through, and then turning it into not just surviving it, but utilizing it towards a greater purpose? What was the journey like going from needing that surgery to now having that bracelet, which I have to say, if people are listening to this, you should watch the episode, because show us that bracelet again. Because normally the bracelets really are kind of those very, bright red and orange, as you said, music festival. What's walk us through the logo? I can't quite see it. What's that logo?
So this logo, that is the sign. And like my light is so bright, you can barely see it. That logo is a symbol that shows all medical professionals that this is a medical ID. So anytime I'm at like the doctor's office, like the other day I was at the dentist and they looked at it, they were like, is that a medical ID?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, it is. Thank you for asking. But when you flip it on the other side, it has engraved, it has like my name, what my condition is. So I'm missing all of my ethmoid bones. It has my doctor's phone number and then an emergency contact on there as well. But my bracelets, you can put anything you want on them. So they're completely customizable. I have, like I said, like my legal name, because Elle is actually not my legal name. Fun fact. But I have everything on here, but you can put whatever you want on there.
How did you go about creating this? I mean, it's amazing. It's not easy as an entrepreneur to create a product. Walk us through that journey.
So I always say necessity breeds innovation. And the feeling that I had whenever I would put on my orange music festival bracelet was so, I don't want to say debilitating, but it almost was. Like I would put it on and I would look at it and just like scowl, honestly. I would be like, this is so awful. It doesn't go with my outfit. Like everyone's looking at it. It was a very big insecurity for me to have to walk around with that big eyesore of a bracelet. I actually have a friend who I knew in high school where she wears medical IDs as well. And I asked her if she had the same problem and she agreed. So I started kind of toying around with the idea of a better looking medical bracelet. And I got the idea from those baby bracelets that you engrave their name on. And so this is just basically a giant version of that with another bracelet attached to it. So it's like a cute little stack.
How did you go about the designing process? I mean, obviously from the way you're speaking, fashion and design and your outfits is something that you've got an eye for. I don't. Although I will say the bracelet being so ugly, the other ones, I guess it's kind of serving its point, but you don't really want everyone to be looking at it, do you? Because the right people will know what to look for. Whereas for everyone else, you don't necessarily want them asking, oh, what music festival did you go to last weekend? So you found that neat niche, but how did you go about the design process?
So I've designed all of them, and these are very basic designs. That was kind of my thought process, was the right people will know. It's very much if you know, you know. And a lot of times people get confused with medical IDs being similar to something like kind of like a life alert, where like you want everyone to know about it. But a medical ID is truly just for medical professionals to see you into an emergency situation. Like a medical ID isn't really marketed towards people who are still in the hospital. These are for people who've gone through something traumatic. They need to have this information if they were to ever be incapacitated and in an emergency medical situation, but they still want to be able to look normal and live a normal life. But the design process, I just like to keep it simple for now.
Right. Okay. I mean, it still looks amazing. It doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes simple is much, much better. So what was the name of your brand again? Medical ID or my?
It's called Mention Medical. So the whole premise of that name is if you were in an emergency situation where you couldn't speak with your medical professionals, what would you want to mention?
Right. And I'm not going to speak for you because I'm sure you're more aware of this than I am. So can you just give people, because not everyone will know what the purpose of a ID in the first place is, why people would need to wear one. So can you just walk people through why some people need to wear their medical IDs and why they're literally life-saving?
Yeah, so I can give my specific example.
Yeah.
So for my medical ID, I live a completely normal life day to day. This is just for if I was ever in an emergency situation. So like I said, I'm missing those bones around my brain. So if I were to get in like a car accident or something and I would need to be intubated through my nose, that tubing would pop through that soft tissue and go into my brain, and it would be over for me. It would be...
You wouldn't be competing on the Miss USA stage.
I would no longer, I would perish if that were to happen. And to put it lightly. And so, but if I'm incapacitated, I can't tell a medical professional to not give me any nasal
100%.
tubing. So that's literally what my bracelet says. It says missing ethmoid bones, no nasal intubation. So it's like little things like that.
Little, but incredibly important. Well, literally life-saving, right? So mention medical. Elle, are people, I mean, you're wearing it. It looks amazing. Are other people able to get them as well?
Yes. So I've been able to give some of these to, I mentioned my friend. She has a really large community with some people who suffer from POTS, which is a very debilitating chronic disease. So she was able to get these IDs in the hands of some of her friends, and the feedback has been amazing. It's been really, really good. And everyone says the same thing. Like, I never knew that I could feel good putting on my medical ID. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about this, because I think sometimes, I'm not going to say men, but sometimes people look at something like a fashionable medical ID bracelet and they go, oh, there's no need for that. That's silly. Just wear the one that you're given. But I think from speaking with women previously, I've worked with some who are domestic violent relationships or were homeless, and they have a child. And there was literally this charity over here in Australia that would give them like a basket of, bath soap or bath bomb or shampoo. And some people look at that and go, they don't need that. They need food, which is fair enough. But sometimes these women who were, fighting for their life, they would get baskets like these and they would be moved to tears, because they would say that's, it's important sometimes to be able to reconnect with your femininity and feel like a woman and feel nice, look pretty, not for anyone else, but just because that's part of your identity. So is it similar for you in this case? Yes, you could wear the ugly, big medical music festival band, and I probably would. But I mean, just speak to the importance of wearing something that is life-saving, and you need to wear it, but doesn't make you stand out and have all that stigma attached to it.
Yes. So something that I've really noticed just with the feedback from a lot of the other young women that I've been able to give these bracelets to is, like I said, they're like, oh, I never knew that I could like feel good putting on my medical ID. A
Yeah.
lot of times conditions that you need a medical ID for. So I live a 100% normal life. My impairment doesn't affect me at all, but that's not the case for a lot of these people. You can use a medical ID for anything, diabetes, epilepsy, but these conditions sometimes can really feel like they've taken over your entire life.
Yeah.
And this is kind of my way of giving a little piece of choice and autonomy and just fun back to these people who've been through so much.
Let me ask, has your perspective on life changed ever since you made it through this surgery? And you obviously you turned it into an amazing, fashionable product which could quite literally save lives. But I mean, you're so young, and to be on the table for something like that is not something that anyone's expecting, certainly not at your age. How has it changed you, the whole experience?
I It was a very difficult experience, but I am so thankful that I went through something like that at such a young age because it's
Mm,
completely changed my perspective. To put all of the lessons that I learned from that in a nutshell, it would just be that life can change really, really fast. One day I was traveling in the airport thinking that I needed glasses, and less than 6 weeks later, I was having my first operation and unsure if I'd ever get to live a normal life. And that's a really quick turnaround to go from one end of the spectrum to the other.
yeah.
So life can change really fast, but you can change your perspective just as fast and just as quickly and take something really difficult and turn it into something really beautiful and really special, not just to you, but for the people around you in your community.
Walk people through just the steps, the journey, the emotional journey, because I know a lot of people, specifically women, very hardworking, very brave, very resilient, and they start having a niggle here or niggle there, and then they ignore it rather than going to see the doctor. I mean, you said you were in the airport thinking you need glasses, and then 6 weeks later you're having a surgery. That's very quick, and that's a whirlwind. We talk about pageant prep, sometimes feeling like a whirlwind, but to go from in the space of 6 weeks being on the table, that must have been frightening and taken a lot of courage.
It was honestly, it happened so fast, which I'm thankful that it happened so fast because when I got home from that trip that I was in the airport and I had called my mom and told her, I think I might need glasses. My vision in my right eye is kind of blurry. I think I'm going to go to the eye doctor when I get home. And then going and having to see a specialist in Houston, actually, not even where I live. It was a really big whirlwind, almost so quickly that it like couldn't even be scary because it happened so fast.
Mm.
Uh, Really, where I felt it the most emotionally was after and thinking that I would be able to just go and live my normal life. I was still 23 at the time, so I was, invincible and thinking that, oh, I'm just gonna wake up from this surgery and like I'll be totally fine. And
Yeah.
that really was not the case for me at the time. It was a very, very difficult time, but I'm really thankful that I went through not just the process on the front end of, oh, I think I'm going to have surgery and kind of trying to come to terms with that, but that like my life looked a little bit different there for a while. And that was okay too. I wasn't operating at 100%, but I was giving my best to my recovery. And that's something that I learned to accept was that just because it's not your 100% doesn't mean that it's not good enough and that you're not doing your best.
Do you have to take it a bit easy after the surgery? I mean, you speak to any pageant girl, and they're always like fitting so much into their average, the normal day. Did you have to actually take some time off to spend on your recovery?
I did. So I had to take time off. At the time, I was also a Pilates instructor. So I had to take a few months off of teaching that. I couldn't even eat solid food for like 3 weeks because of all the
Wow.
bones shifting in my face, which was not what I had anticipated. But that was a good, I guess, a good kind of way to tell me that you are not going to be going for a run anytime soon. slow down. You can't even bite into a cracker. Like, just relax.
Silly question. Do you remember what the first solid food was that you treated yourself to?
I do. So actually, I couldn't drink through a straw either, which a straw is like my, just from the suction because of all the, because it was right around my nose. It didn't make any sense to me either. I wanted to drink through a straw so bad, but I still listened to my doctor. But the first like forbidden thing that I did was drink Diet Coke through a straw.
That's a way to celebrate. So you couldn't eat any solid foods, but you also couldn't drink through a straw. How did you not just starve to death over those? What, just having to chug it down manually?
Yes, lots of like completely liquid soup. I had to stay with my parents during that time just because I needed someone to watch over me during my recovery, and I think my mom had to get a new blender after that 3 weeks because the blender had decided to stop working.
That's fair enough. Are you sick of soup at this stage?
I have not eaten ice cream since.
Is that like a bit of remnant, the trauma, or you just don't? Why not ice cream?
I love ice cream, or I did. Loved it. I can't eat it. I can't even look at, like, I can't walk in the ice cream aisle at the grocery store. I'm like, ugh. Can't do it.
You might be the only woman at Miss USA who can't stand the idea of ice cream. So
I'm getting nauseous just talking about it. I'm like, oh, I can't.
So
water through a straw.
There's a straw there. So we're not going to be going on ice cream dates anytime soon. If your fellow contestants want to go to an ice cream parlor, you're just going to sit there and try not to vomit by the sounds of it.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay,
I'll go,
all right.
though.
That's so unusual. Elle, you've mentioned a few different parts of your life already. So I'm curious, outside of pageants, what does a normal day in your life or normal week in your life look like away from the pageant stage? Because obviously you have mentioned medical, you mentioned Pilates, you were telling me about sports before. And so already there are a lot of different parts, and I'm sensing strong entrepreneurial DNA here. So give me a bit of insight away from the pageant stage. Who is Elle Hinojosa?
So you said strong entrepreneurial DNA. That is very true. Almost everyone in my family is an entrepreneur. So I've had this like drilled into my head since birth that like it's the best way to do it. And I always knew I would be an entrepreneur. I love anyone with an entrepreneurial spirit. I love working specifically with the Girl Scouts because I think that really, really helps foster that in young girls and young women. So I'm like, always very excited whenever they invite me to speak or help them with anything. But a typical week in my life, I'm still building Mention, and we are almost like to the finish line of getting all of our approvals. So we will launch before the end of this year. That's something with anything that's like medically related, you have to be approved. So yes, have to be approved to sell. But I'm still building that. So I'm still designing bracelets. I'm coding websites. I'm making social media plans. That takes up a good chunk of my life these days. I would say the other chunk is Miss USA prep. But if we're going to throw that out, I am a trained workshop facilitator with the One Love Foundation. And we do a lot of online workshops, which is great because people from all over the nation can tune in. I do occasionally travel for in-person workshops, which is my favorite thing to do, to get to actually see everyone's face. But other than that, I came from a super athletic family. Both of my sisters played college volleyball. My dad was a boxer. He had us boxing from a very early age, and I do it more so for exercise now, but boxing, golf, Pilates. I'm still a certified Pilates instructor as well. So I love to be super active. I have a big black lab, and we'll go for walks and runs. Try to tire her out, but I'm a very active individual.
That recovery time when you had to not even go for a run, that must have been really difficult then.
It was tough. That was probably, I didn't realize how much I missed it until I went for my first like walk. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is so nice. Like I felt like Rapunzel. I was like trapped in my tower and then I could finally go outside.
You mentioned the Girl Scouts, and I want to ask a little bit more about that because in Australia here, Girl Scouts are nowhere near as big a thing as they are in America. I didn't realize that entrepreneurial, like you mentioned, we're talking about entrepreneur stuff, and you're talking, and then you segued onto the Girl Scouts. The Girl Scouts, in terms of entrepreneur, do they help promote young women going into business? Are there activities that they do that help foster that sort of entrepreneurial spirit?
I think so. I think really even just their cookie sales and being able to manage and track your inventory, track your spending, plan when you're going to sell. Those are like really key pieces of being an entrepreneur. And I also think that they try, just the organization themselves tries to get female entrepreneurs to speak to the girls, leave messages, and really any organization that encourages female entrepreneurs is something I can get behind. So I love working with them.
And you mentioned sort of you gave people a glimpse into the into what it's like running or starting your own business, and then especially one in the medical field, because I got to imagine there were legal things you needed to cross your T's and dot your I's because we are talking about people's lives. I can only imagine. If I don't want to imagine what sort of legal advice you had to get, but in terms of being entrepreneurial, I've been an entrepreneur ever since even before my first 9 to 5. I had one 9 to 5 job out of college, and I hated it so much. I got fired after a year. It's funny you asked that. I spoke to a former Miss Universe competitor, and she was saying, "Yeah, I lasted a week," and I did better than that. But I mean, what is it about entrepreneurialism that you love? And let me preface this by saying I got diagnosed with ADHD last year, and then suddenly everything made sense because like I live in the chaos. For someone who's a bit more, let's say, normal or wants a 9 to 5, they look at what I do and they're like, how do you do that? Like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, yeah, I've not had a sick day ever because I pay myself. But I love that chaos. I love going down like hyper focus and like, getting really, focus on like bracelet design or website design or starting a new partnership. And for me, I could do that. I have done that until like 2 a.m. and then I forget to have dinner and all that. Is it similar for yourself?
Yes, I love being immersed in the process. Through this journey specifically, there's been something really beautiful about having an idea in your mind and then like seeing it come to life.
Yeah.
Like physically, which there are ups and downs to having and selling a physical product and dealing with inventory. But I always say, because I get that question a lot, what's the most difficult part about being an entrepreneur? What's the most difficult part? I will say I did not anticipate the legalities of it at all. It is not just selling bracelets when you're selling medical IDs, but I love wearing multiple hats. That's always the best way to put it. The most difficult thing is I have so many hats to wear and I only have one head. But I love to wear that. Like, I'm happy to wear the hats. I'm happy to change my hat out wear a different hat in the morning, different one in the afternoon. And you never get bored because there's so many different things to do. And a big lesson that I've learned though, is there is no shame in outsourcing. So if there's something that maybe you're less interested in or less talented at, there's no shame in trying to find someone to help you. That's been a really big lesson that I've had to learn. And I'm glad I've learned it now because my life is so much better.
Talk to me about outsourcing. I'm just thinking if I was in your shoes, I mean, I can't draw to save my life. So I barely ever got past stick figures. So in your situation, what are we outsourcing? I'd be outsourcing the design. I know what I like, but that's about it. What bits were you outsourcing?
See, I can do the design. I can code my website a little bit. But like there are some things that I'm like, okay, this is a little too out of my wheelhouse. I like to say, I'm like, this is above, I pay myself and this is above my pay grade. I've got to find someone else to do it. Because there are people who this is their entrepreneurial spirit. And this is what they've done with their desire to be an entrepreneur. And There's no shame in outsourcing, and sometimes there's a professional for a reason.
It makes your life so much easier, though, doesn't it? When you have this problem and you can't solve it because you don't know what you don't know, and then you talk to someone who knows what they're doing, and they go, oh, yeah, you just have to do this. And you're like, why did I spend 5 months of my life trying to figure this out when I could just get someone on board who knows how to do this without even batting an eyelid? It makes your life a lot easier.
Exactly. Which also, I love being an entrepreneur. There's nothing better. No hate to our 9-to-5ers out there. We love y'all too.
Yes. I mean, I sometimes look at people who work 9 to 5s, and I am very jealous that you get to sit at your desk and you get paid no matter what happens. It's not, the definition of an entrepreneur, I was telling Tom Brodeur this when I interviewed him. Definition of an entrepreneur is someone who's made enough money to cover for their mistakes or to pay for their mistakes. I think that was the best.
It's a good one.
That's the best definition I've ever heard. But let me ask you this question, and you tell me how difficult you find this question. If someone just asks you, oh, tell us a bit about yourself, or what do you do? You see, I quite dread that question. You can ask me anything else, it's fine. But that question, I don't know where to start. Like you talked about the hats, and I don't want to discuss all the hats, not because I don't want to, but because people will either think I'm lying, showing off, or exaggerating. And then I don't want to bore people to tears. So when someone asks you, oh, Elle, so what do you do? Like someone, they're working at an accountancy firm, they're a law partner, great, and there's a lot of work involved in that. But when someone asks you, oh, what do you do? Is that difficult for you or it's easy?
I always say, which I think it's because I come from a family where almost everyone owns their own business. So I'm very comfortable with just saying, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. There is always a follow-up question. And I say, I have a medical ID brand. And usually that's when we get into it because I think a lot of people don't really know about medical IDs. But I just go I'm from there usually. But I always start with entrepreneur. Very proud of that title.
That's a good way of putting it. And that's a really good segue into making sales as well, potentially, because people ask you, which then gives you permission to talk about it. You don't have to bash them over their head trying to sell it. Can you give us a brief overview? So we talked about entrepreneurial DNA. I don't have, I'm going to call it a gift. I come from a very medical family, so everyone's a doctor except me. And being a medical doctor is probably the furthest you can be from an entrepreneur. I mean, you work very long hours, but you're literally just there. You know what to do. There's no real creativity except when it comes to diagnosing the patient. You just sat there with patients. Give us some entrepreneurial stories. What sort of businesses are we talking about behind the scenes?
So my mom does embroidery. So like personalization. If you ever see like a baby and they have a really cute bow with their name on it, things like that. And then everyone in her family, it's always funny whenever you talk about businesses because it's like, oh, there's a business for that and I never thought about it. Like her brother, my uncle, if you've ever been to the dentist and you see those puppets that have like the dentures in them and it teaches kids how to brush their teeth, that's him. He owns that business. It's called Star Smiles. And then my grandma was a daycare owner for many, many years. She's since retired. And then my grandfather had an oil and gas business that's now been like kind of dispersed throughout the rest of our family. And before that, he's like the serial entrepreneur. I think we're the ones who all got his DNA. He had a horse transport business for many years. He did like some kind of stand or something with the drag races, like the NHRA. You name it, he's done it. Many businesses, many ventures.
Are you the sort of person that whenever there's a problem that someone mentions, like a friend mentions they're having a problem, and your brain immediately goes into entrepreneur mode and goes, oh, I could design a product for that?
Like, I could probably fix that. Yes.
Yeah, that's the entrepreneurial DNA. Tell me more about the One Love Foundation. This is not something that I've heard of much before. You mentioned it in your bio, and you just mentioned it before as well, doing online workshops, and every now and then you get to do it in person. Tell people more about One Love and what it does.
One Love is a foundation that is founded on teaching young people, really all people, about the signs of healthy and unhealthy relationships. It's really, really special to me for so many different reasons. One of them being that I actually found out about One Love from watching the Miss USA pageant. It was one of the causes that a contestant had highlighted. And that's how I found out about them. And then as a survivor of an abusive relationship myself, it's something that helped me heal. And then now I get to take that experience and help the next generation. Really, the reason why One Love is so special to me is because it gives tangible signs and true resources of how to avoid an unhealthy relationship. So many times, I think we're focused on helping survivors. One Love is focused on preventing it from happening. And I think that's something that's really special.
I definitely think in cases like this, like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Relationships are one of those things there are many things we're not taught in school. Being an entrepreneur is one of them. How to have a healthy relationship is another. I feel like we're just supposed to work it out ourselves, but sometimes that's very ugly, very dangerous, if I can put it that way, especially for young women. What is it like when you're working with people in this setting? I mean, you mentioned that it's prevention rather than working with the survivors. I have worked with survivors, and that is emotionally, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, emotionally very heavy. You begin to hear stories, and you need to take the rest of the day off. But what is it like? What do you go through in these workshops? What sort of topics are you discussing?
So one thing that I love about One Love is they give you the information, but they kind of let you take the reins. And actually in a couple of days, I'm teaching a workshop to a sorority. So kind of our key demographic. So I'm really excited about that. But the way that I like to structure, I always like to think about the age that I'm teaching. One Love is great with making sure that everything is age appropriate. And we have workshops for kids as young as, I believe it's 8 to 10 is our youngest one, which is great because there is no roadmap to love. We are all kind of walking around blind, and and relationships is such a massive part of our lives. And we're just kind of left to our own devices. So One Love kind of gives us ways to navigate those difficult situations. And I love that they have different things to look out for, so that you're not just looking out for yourself, you can look out for the people around you.
That's got to be really exciting for you, about to step on the Miss USA stage and you get to speak to a sorority about this topic, which is so important. That's a really neat kind of convergence, isn't it?
Yes, it's so exciting. I've noticed a big shift I've been working with One Love since I was about 22, so 2.5 years or so. And I've noticed a big shift really in the last 12 months of people being interested and seeking these workshops out, especially for groups of young girls. So it's something that's really exciting. And I'm really loving being able to get all of our education out there.
Had any feedback in terms of when you're giving the information or you're teaching or you're leading these workshops, have you gotten any feedback as to when young women hear that for the first time, they've never thought of that, or what's the most impactful thing? Because I can tell you from the other side, for example, it was so shocking for me to learn that in abusive relationships, very often the woman who's abused still loves the person who's abusing them. And it makes sense to me now, but that's only because I work with them. But to hear it, I had no idea, because I've never been in that place. On the other side, when we're talking prevention, when you mention any of the concepts that you're teaching, are there any ones where the young women go, I'd never thought of it that way?
There's some specific ones. One sign that jumps out at me specifically is volatility, and kind of like the roller coaster, very high highs, very low lows. That's always one that kind of sticks out to people. You kind of notice when you get to that slide on your PowerPoint, people kind of hop back a little bit. They're like, oh my goodness. But the feedback that I always get which it's good feedback. And I'm really, really happy that these girls are reflecting on their own lives. But it is a little bit sad almost, because after almost every single workshop, I either will get an email or a girl will have the courage to come up and tell me face to face that they believe that they're in maybe not an abusive relationship, but maybe an unhealthy relationship. And they're kind of reaching out for help, which I'm so, so thankful to be able to do work with such an amazing organization, which they've packaged these signs so well that people feel comfortable reaching out to the workshop facilitator for help. But it is something that's so sobering to know that these issues are still affecting young women today and at massive rates.
How does that make you feel when you see emails like that, or you realize that your message is having such an impact? Because you might literally, again, be saving lives.
It feels really, I'll say powerful. I can't say it feels good, because you know that someone's going through a difficult situation or they have been through a difficult situation. But something I always like to share a little bit of my story. I think that makes it a little bit more tangible to these girls. It's not just like a random person coming to read off this PowerPoint of these 10 signs that are completely unrelatable. I like to share that I myself am a survivor of relationship abuse. I've been where they are. When I go through the 10 signs, I'll try to share maybe not an example from my own life, but share a very real life example so that they could see themselves in that situation and maybe recognize it in their own lives and their own relationships. But it feels very, very powerful. And that's something that I really want to take with me on the Miss USA stage, is some of that power that these young women have shown, the bravery to reach out for help, and also the readiness that they have to heal. I think that's something that's really powerful that we could all learn from them.
Just a segue, tell me about the importance of family. You've mentioned it in your bio. Obviously, my struggle to pronounce your surname is it's not Smith or Jones. How important is your heritage and family to the woman you are today?
My family and my heritage really is everything to me. It's such a large part of my foundation. If you don't know, Hinojosa is technically a Spanish last name. So my dad is half and half. He's half Spanish and half Mexican. So I always just say that I'm Hispanic because it encompasses both. But my foundation is really, my family is my foundation, and it's everything to me. I always credit my personality and my love of having fun and laughing to that part of my family. They all have big personalities. They're all very funny, but they're all also very, very hard workers. It is not easy to come to this country. That's something that I'm really, really grateful to my grandparents for doing, not just for themselves, but for their family. Makes me a little, really warms my heart to think that they didn't even know me, but they stepped out in such bravery and went through such a difficult process for me.
Have you ever have extended family get-togethers? But given your heritage, your love of family, and then the fact that you're all entrepreneurs, what is a typical Hinojosa family gathering like? I have to imagine it's quite loud, quite very boisterous, loud. Quite a lot of laughing. What does it look like?
Yes, very, very loud. It's almost always centered around food. Everyone in my family is an excellent cook, the best. I go back and forth on if I like Mexican food or Spanish food better. It's similar, but it's not the same. And it's always, that's a great word for it, very boisterous, very loud, but lots of laughter. Everyone in my family is like a big prankster. I get that from my dad. And so we're always laughing. There's always like some kind of music playing. Usually someone is like dancing. We love the mariachis. We'll have them at like every family party. I think my dad loves mariachis so much. Like he would invite them to like the opening of like a can of tuna. He loves that.
I don't know if you're able to disclose, are there any particular, you mentioned pranks. Are there any particular really good pranks that you can share with us?
I think it's less like, actually, no, I was going to say it's less pranks, more of like intense jokes. No, it is pranks. Like my dad loves like a good like fake bug or like a fake rat, and those get me every time.
I,
But just anything, there's a lot of energy. That's something that I will definitely be bringing with me on the Miss USA stage is the energy from my family and from my culture, because there is a lot of it to share.
would say they would love to see that. They would love, your fellow contestants would love you to bring the energy. They probably don't want you to bring the fake rat.
I will not bring the
I,
fake rat. I will leave the fake rat at home. No one has to worry.
I haven't seen the fake rat one. I have seen the fake snake one. There was this guy on the golf course and someone had attached the fake snake to him. So it follows you around because it's tied to you and it looks like a snake. And because you get scared, you run, it follows you. So is the fake rat one something like that?
No, the fake rat is just like it like and it looks so real. And it has like the long tail. Oh, it's disgusting. But it doesn't move. Thank God. If it moved, I think I would have to probably no longer associate with my family if the fake rat followed you. But it's like a fake rat like in the cabinet, like
Right.
under
Okay.
your chair.
Okay.
You would think
I'm
it
not.
wouldn't work by now, but it still works. Still gets
I'm not. I'm not condoning this, but if you're competitive in your household at all, just consider attaching the rat somehow to one of your other family members with some fishing line, which is invisible, because then when they run away, it will follow them. That's what I saw on TikTok
The
anyway.
snake is intriguing because my dad and I will
Intri-
probably play a round of golf here soon. So the snake attached to them is very intriguing.
It's interesting talking to you. I can see the visceral reaction you have to thinking about the rat.
Yes.
It's the same reaction you had to thinking about ice cream.
Yes.
Are there? You're very like it's very. You can see it in your face and your body. Are there any other things that just make you squeamish in the same way? I mean, two is already enough. Rats, I understand.
Snake?
Ice cream is odd.
Yeah, snakes will get me, but also that's just like very much who I am. Big gestures, big facial expressions, big personality.
Not on your sleeve type of person.
Definitely. There's no question what I'm thinking. And that's always just something, it's like I'm very authentic and very real because honestly, I don't really have a choice. I think my face would let everyone know
Yeah.
what was going on.
I would say the one thing you're probably not going to be very good at is poker. I don't think you have a
No.
great poker face. I think if you had a good hand, it'd be written all over your face. And if you had a
Yeah.
bad one, it would also be written all over your face.
Okay.
Let's talk about Miss USA because it's only a couple of weeks away. Just given what you said about, being authentic and having this sort of loud, boisterous personality, you and your family both, can I ask you about how do you feel about walking on stage? Some people, it's very natural. Some people, they have to work on it a lot. Have you always, I'll take a wild guess at you've done modeling as well, but for you, have you always loved getting up on stage and strutting your stuff?
I've always loved performing. So when I was younger, I kind of got that fix through dance and competitive cheerleading. I also played the viola, so I would get my
Mhm.
performance fix from performing with the orchestra. But I've always loved performing, definitely. This is different though, because yes, like you have a routine, kind of, but it's definitely different from like a dance or a cheer performance. But I love it.
What are you most looking forward to at Miss USA?
I guess I'll keep sticking to like the competition portion. I don't know why I love evening gown. It's always my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite thing to watch. I love it. It's my favorite hands down.
And are you at the point now where you're just itching and ready to go? Or I spoke to another USA contestant and she still hasn't had her dress arrive. So I don't know if she's ready to go. She might be panicking. But
Yeah.
is everything good and ready to go? And you're just now, 2 weeks, let's get this over with. I'm good.
Yeah, see, the second that I got my dress and that I saw it and that it fits and it's good, I was like, okay, I'm good. Like I can exhale now. But like the days leading up to it, I'm just like, is my dress gonna be here?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be the right color? What if they send me the wrong one? Just like every bad thing that could happen just like rotating in your mind, but then like I have it, it's like in my possession. Like I can go to Miss USA tomorrow.
So you're ready for this thing. What is your plan? I mean, not everyone is going to have the amazing, opportunity to walk on that Miss USA stage. What's the plan, your itinerary, your travel plan is going to look like? Obviously, as we mentioned at the very start, not that it was last minute, but it was in limbo for a long time, and then there was the announcement. You know the dates. Give people an insight, like when are you going? How long are you going to be staying? When are you coming back?
Well, hopefully I'm not coming back the day after. Hopefully we have other business to attend to after Miss USA. But I am planning on getting there a little bit early just so I can have like my wits about me, get organized, get everything that I need. I love to be prepared. So I have a big personality and I like to have fun, but I also like to be really organized.
You don't strike me as someone who would get stressed at all. And maybe it's the entrepreneur, I don't know. But you just seem like someone who you get prepared, you'd see what needs to get done, and then you go do it. You don't seem like the sort of person who would be very easily fazed or stressed.
I love to roll with the punches. I don't know if that is the entrepreneur in me. Maybe it is. I could see that being a big factor, but like I always love to roll with the punches, and I always say that everything is happening exactly the way it should. And there's no other way that anything could be happening. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
And so roll with it and make the best out of any situation. And your poise will carry you through and you're going to be fine.
Play a hypothetical game with me here, Elle. If in 2 or 3 weeks' time you do have another job offer, you do have another crown placed on your head, what do you think? What do you think the first thing you're going to do is? What's the emotional reaction going to be like? Are we going with stoic, screaming, fainting, crying? What's happening with you?
Okay, because Miss Utah was my first pageant, so you don't really know your reaction until you're in it. However, I remember thinking when I won that I didn't have a reaction. I remember thinking and smiling for a photo and thinking I don't know if my reaction was that good. Did I look excited? I'm not sure. Maybe I should have looked happier. And then I saw the video and I was like, no, girl, you're good. You look really happy that you won. Don't even worry about it.
As I said, the poker face is not strong.
No.
Can you describe to people what you saw in that video? What were we seeing?
It was exactly it was so stereotypical. I did cry. I am a crier, but it was not the cute, little baby tear like that. It was big,
bawling,
fat crocodile tears. So I imagine it'll be something similar.
I've always told pageant girls, I think they're really good at finding waterproof makeup because, the amount of tears that you guys need to survive and still look like you're put together, not look like some sort of sad clown is crazy.
Yes. The tears were quite large, but I would prefer that reaction to just nothing. I'm okay, you look real.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone win a big title and have no reaction. Some people have looked very confused, but that's because they can't believe they've won. There's one me? I interviewed someone else recently and she was very confused. So she turned to the side and everyone else thought she was about to run off stage. So I don't think there are people who have no reaction, but I think everyone has their own reaction. So for you, we're going extreme happiness with a lot of crying. Maybe
not a lot, but it was a lot.
Are you sure?
The tears were big, but there were only a few of them. It wasn't sobbing.
Okay, all right, that's good. So it still sounds like a pretty cry.
We'll all find out at the same time.
Yeah. You'll find out for yourself at the same time.
We'll all find out together.
Let's take out this hypothetical situation a little bit further. So if you were to have this mystery job offer given to you, you then represent your entire country and then you also have a year to reign. walk me through what the plan is here. I'm sure you've given it some level of thought, but probably not too much. But what's the strategy here? Like, what's Elle's 12-month vision for that hypothetical job offer?
I think for my hypothetical job offer, to be Miss USA would really just mean so much to me and so much to my family. Representing my country is, am so taken aback by just the thought of even being able to have this opportunity to compete for that opportunity. So it's like an opportunity within an opportunity. But to be able to represent the country that my grandparents so bravely came to, seeking a better life for themselves and their family, would mean so much to me. My grandfather was so, so proud to be an American. And I would really just want to carry that true pride and just gratitude with me throughout the entire 12 months. That's something that I would want to lead with, is pride and thankfulness throughout that entire year.
Get the sense of a lot of hard work as well. I'm imagining you're not afraid to roll the sleeves up and get to work.
No, definitely not.
Well, Elle, I've had you on for over an hour already, so just before we move to the close, let me give you a chance to give any thanks or shout-outs to that you would like to for supporting you along your journey.
Yes. Really thank you to really anyone who's reached out. I've been kind of a newbie in this community, and everyone has welcomed me with such open arms and just been so nice and so welcoming and so forthcoming with advice. So I'm so thankful to everyone who has embraced me and who has cheered me on throughout this entire journey. I hope to continue making everyone proud and just keep having fun throughout this entire process.
Let's get to the final 10. So first question, what is your favorite word?
See, okay, I know the answer, but I know that I should have like a more meaningful one. So I'm going to give you two answers. I think my more polished answer, my favorite word would be love. That's something that I always try to lead with, not just in my One Love train workshop facilitator life and trying to help the next generation love better and be better informed in how to do so, but I also try to lead with love in any interaction that I have with really anyone. You never know what anyone's going through, and we're all just trying to heal and live the best life that we can. So I think if we're always leading with love and having that at the forefront of our minds, the world would be a much better place. And my second answer, I really like the word papoose, just because I like the way it sounds.
So I don't know what that word is. What is that word?
It's like what they use to like restrain. It's just so weird. It's what they use to like restrain babies. Like if you have like a baby like in a papoose, it's like they're in a
No, we have an Australian word for that maybe it's not quite computed. Papoose.
Yeah,
that is.
You can Google it. It's a real word, I promise.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. It's just it's not very often I hear a word in these answers and I go, I don't know what that is. That is a first after hundreds of interviews. Papoose. That's definitely the first time anyone's given that word.
It is. I know I probably should have like kept that in, but I just couldn't.
No. I like those answers. They show your true personality. Well, you get another chance. So that was what your favorite word. Number 2 is what is your least favorite word?
No, I don't like that one.
You know what I love about that answer is that everyone who gives that answer, the facial expression, you can watch this back and you'll see, they all have this pouty, 5-year-old not, I know you don't like ice cream, but that when you can't get the ice cream and you're told no, and they go, no, like it's such a facial, no.
I'm sure I had it, and I'm sure it was large.
That entrepreneurial DNA. Again, number 3 in life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
Gets me excited? At the moment, it's mention and building something that I think is really powerful that can help really people everywhere. That's a part of my plan, is to expand past just women's jewelry and go into men's. And the thought of being able to collab with a big brand someday and make medical IDs more mainstream is something that's really exciting for me.
Absolutely. Uh, so that was what turns you on. What turns you off?
Lack of passion, lack of commitment to whatever it is that you're doing. I think if you're not going to be super passionate and committed, what's the point of doing anything?
What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love? I really like, I think you just saw my dog crawl into the chair behind me. Sound or noise. I love white noise, like the box fan noise. I fall asleep to that every night.
I have a white noise machine, so I know exactly what you're
Yes.
talking about. What sound or noise do you hate?
The sound of a bee in your ear. I hate that.
That,
It makes me like jump.
that sounds oddly specific. I mean, it would make me jump only because I don't want to get stung.
Even
But
like the
has
sound
that?
of like a fly buzzing, like any buzz like
Oh, okay.
that, it just sounds not good.
Right. I don't know if you have mosquitoes where you're at, but as I mentioned to you, we're coming into summer here, and the sound of a mosquito in your ear when you're trying to sleep, that'll
Exactly.
keep you up all night. So I can understand that one. If you could have any superpower, what would you pick and why?
I think I would pick to freeze time for lots of different reasons. Number one, an extra hour of the day would really help me out every now and then. I feel like I would get a lot more done. Like if there was an hour between like 3 and 4 p.m., I think that would really
Yeah.
help me out, just like in my work timing. But then also, I think as I've gotten older, I've realized just how special a lot of moments are. And I think being able to freeze time and just kind of have a moment to sit and take it in and appreciate the moment that you're in would be really, really special.
Yeah, I get that. What job other than your own would you most like to attempt?
I think, what was I just said that I would be like good at this job. I think I would be, what was it? I would love to attempt to drive a semi truck. I really think I could do it. I don't know if I would want that to be like my job, but I would love to try to do it at least for a day.
That I'm going to rank that up with papoose. No pageant girl has ever told me they'd like to learn how to drive a semi. Why? Why? Not that there's
I
anything
just,
wrong with it. I think it's cool,
whenever
but
they're
why?
driving on, honestly, it's really just the first thing that popped into my head. But whenever they're driving on the highway, they have the power in the situation, and everyone kind of will back off of their gas a little
Yeah.
bit just to let them go. And I would like to have that feeling just one time.
I've interviewed a bunch of pageant contestants who have like car sponsorships, and they've all got these cute little convertibles for parade season, and just, they can open the top and wave. So if you're going down like a welcome home parade, you're going in a semi,
If I
and
could pick, I would probably pick a semi truck. I would like
people
sit
will
on top of it or something.
people will see you coming. That's for sure. All right, so that's the job you want to attempt. What about what job would you definitely not like to attempt?
I could never, ever be a nurse. Ever. I can't do blood. I hate getting an IV. The thought of having to give it to someone else, I think I'd pass out.
Okay, so hypothetical question number two: would you rather give an IV to someone else or eat a bowl of ice cream?
Oh, eat a bowl of ice cream.
Okay.
Easy. That's, yeah, the hate for needles runs very, very deep. The ice cream hatred, that's like surface level. That's just in the last year.
There's something about needles that just doesn't sit right with me. No, let's not go into that one. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I think, hi, Elle, I've been waiting for you.
Nice and casual. Keeping
Yes,
it casual.
I knew you'd be here. It's exactly everything you imagined it would be.
Perfect. Well, Elle, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're super busy with your time, but best of luck in 2 to 3 weeks and having that potential future hypothetical job offer that we discussed.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on.
keep you on the line for just a sec whilst I hang out with the audience, but thanks everyone for watching, and we will speak to you next time.